Here I'll give you 5 tips for printing in Excel, and it's going to cover a lot of things that will help you to make all of this data either look really nice or fit on so many pages or split up into multiple pages, things that are going to make the data look better on paper. Before we start, check the video description and click the link to TeachExcel so you can download the files for the tutorial and follow along. And make sure to subscribe and accept notifications so you can see all the new tutorials. So what we have here is some sample sales data, quarterly sales data, and it's broken up into 4 sections. So let's say that we have the raw data on another worksheet, and our boss wants us to put it on this worksheet and make it in this sort of setup on the page. It's not unheard of to have someone tell you to make Excel look much nicer when printed than normal. If we go ahead and hit Control P, we're going to get to our print preview screen, and you can see over here on the right that it just doesn't look good. So I'm going to go ahead and click the little button down here to make it larger so we can see it. You see that the data doesn't all fit on one page. Not good. It goes over to the second page like this, just doesn't look good. So let's hit escape to get out of this. Now let's first find the printing features. So you want to go up here to the page layout tab. And once you're up here, you can go to Page Setup. So originally, if you click the bottom right-hand corner, this is the window that you'd go to. And this is still where you can get all of the options for page, margins, header, footer, and sheet. So there's a lot of stuff on here that I'm actually not going to cover in this tutorial. But this is where you can find all the good stuff to control how it's going to look when printed. Or if you hit Control P, you can find a lot of this stuff, not all of it, over here in the left-hand corner, and that way you can change it and then see how it will look on the printed sheet immediately. And from here you can also click Page Setup to get to the window I just showed. So let's do Cancel and Escape, and let's go to the very first tip. Now this one is simple, but so helpful, and it is changing the orientation. Up on the page layout tab, you can see orientation. If we click that, we can do portrait. This is how most things are printed. Think about a Word document, or landscape. So think about how a movie or your laptop or computer screen is. That's how that would be. Now, if I click it here, it doesn't look any different. So we can't really see the changes. And that's why it's helpful to go to the print preview window. So just Control P, and we can see the data doesn't fit like before. Let's go over here to the left. They have a portrait orientation little drop down. Click landscape orientation. And let's zoom out here. Now you notice it says page 1 of 1 instead of 1 of 2, and it fits perfectly on one sheet of paper. So we have very quickly and easily solved a problem. It all fits and it looks nice. Now let me go back to the worksheet to show you the next tip. Let's say, let me delete these 2 columns right here. Now let's go back there. Notice how the data doesn't look very nice. It's bunched in the upper left-hand corner. It just doesn't look good. It's going to look even worse when you print it. The very next tip is how to center this data, how to center these cells on this page. What you want to do is to go down to the margins drop down over here, click the little arrow, and go to custom margins. Then in the bottom here, check horizontally and vertically. And you'll notice in the little window right here, you can see the cells update. So when I uncheck them, it goes to the upper left, check it, and it goes to the middle. Then hit OK, and check it out. It's perfectly centered. That is something that has caused so much frustration to so many people. So I'll show you again. Go to the margins, custom margins, in the bottom section under center on page, check horizontally and vertically. Now let's go back to the worksheet. If you want to get there from here, very simple, page layout tab, margins, custom margins. So just remember, center the data, margins, custom margins, horizontally, vertically. And viewing the window from here allows you to go to print preview by clicking this button. So very easy to do. Now let's say that our boss will not let us change the orientation of the page. So it has to be portrait, so it's not all going to fit on the page. So it looks kind of crummy. Just like this, 2 pages. And let's also go ahead and remove the center. Don't want that anymore. Okay. So we have to put it on one page like this. We can't change the way anything looks in the worksheet. Very simple. We want to go to Scale. So Page Layout tab, and there's the Scale to Fit section. What you can do is you can change the percentage here. So if you want to scale it to 90%, then you've scaled it to 90%. Hit Control P, and you can see that now all of the data perfectly fits on one piece of paper. It's 90% of the normal size. Alternatively, you can decide, let's say put that back up at 100, that the height and the width must be one page by one page. So that means it's got to fit on one page. Go back here and you can see that it will automatically adjust so that it fits on one page. And when you're in this window, you can control it by going to the last option here, clicking here and choosing from these options. Fit sheet on page, all columns, all rows, or no scaling. So this is how it looks originally on 2 pages. And here we go on 1 page. You can see when you choose these 2 options, scale it 1 page by 1 page or 1 page by however many pages, if you have a lot of data, it will automatically choose the scale down here. So it just makes it so you don't have to play around with that number. Let's go ahead and now remove this, change it back to automatic and automatic, so now it's no longer scaled. Next up, let's talk about if you only want to print a little piece of data from the worksheet. So you've got a worksheet, lots of data. I don't want to print all 4 of these quarters. Let's say I just want quarter 1. So what I can do is select the data that I want to print. On the Page Layout tab, go to Print Area, and then click Set Print Area. Now when I do that, let's hit Control P to go to Print Preview. You'll see that it only has quarter 1 to print. That's it. So it's so simple, so easy. And if I want to add another one, let's say I want to do quarter 2 as well, I can go ahead and select quarter 2, go to Print Area, and click Add to Print Area. Now in the worksheet, you don't really see much. I can't tell what's going on, but once we go to Print Preview, you'll see quarter 1 here and quarter 2 here. So nice and easy. We can clear that by going to Print Area, Clear Print Area. Now everything is back to normal. And if you want to select multiple areas at once, just select the first one, then hit Control, select the second one, and you're good to go with Print Area, Set Print Area. And it's just like before. Nice, simple, easy to do. Now let's clear the print area before moving on. Okay, so now that we have changing the orientation, centering the data, scaling the data, and printing selections of the data, let's talk about the next big thing, page breaks. Page breaks determine how you slice and dice the worksheet. So I just showed you how to do individual selections, print those. This one's going to be, let's print everything over here on one section and then everything over here on another page, or up and down. So this determines how you slice all of the data in the worksheet. So for instance, let's say that we want to put this over here on one page and this over here on another page. Well, we can insert a page break to the left of column F. So click column F, go to Page Layout, Breaks, Insert Page Break. Now if we hit Control P, we can see quarter 1 and quarter 2 on page 1, quarter 3, quarter 4 on page 2. And if you wanted to make a page break above row 12, simply click row 12, breaks, insert page break. Hit Control P. Now each one will be on a separate page, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to remove the page breaks, simply click Breaks and reset all page breaks. But before we do that, I want to show you a nice, neat feature so that we don't have to keep going back to the print preview window to see the changes we're making. If we go to the View tab, we can click Page Break Preview. And now let's zoom in. This is going to show you what ends up on each page, page 1, 2, 3, 4. And it is so nice. So obviously you can see it doesn't show all the available cells in a worksheet. So this isn't a view that you want to use to enter data, just for printing. Now let's say that we want to change a page break. You can put your cursor right over the line, hover over it, click and drag. And now you can change the location of the page breaks. If you want to remove an individual page break, simply put your cursor right next to the line, click the cell next to it, go to Page Layout, Breaks, and then Remove Page Break, and it will remove that individual page break. Now you may have noticed that you see a dotted line over here. This is the default page break. So as it stands, the data only up to column H is what will actually be able to fit onto a single page at its current size and orientation. Now if you want to remove the horizontal page break, go underneath it, select the cell just under it, go to Breaks, and Remove Page Break. Or another way is to hold your mouse cursor over it, click, and drag it off the worksheet. So you know how to add page breaks now. Select the column, and the page break will be added to the left of it. Once you go to Breaks, Insert Page Break. If you want to do it horizontally, select the row below where you want to make the break, go to Breaks, Insert Page Break. And if you want to save time, which you can do, let's back that up. Let's say you want to insert the page breaks right here. So it goes up and down and left and right around this cell. I select the cell, I go to Breaks, Insert Page Break, and it automatically adds the vertical and horizontal ones at once. So that's a quick way to save time, get your page breaks, and see exactly what data is going to appear on what page. And the other thing is, even though this is the page break view, if we remove all the page breaks, reset all page breaks, we can still see how our changes to the printing setup are going to affect how many pages we need for our data. So here we can see page 1, and then over here a little page 2 by default. Go to change the orientation. See the dotted line is moved off, and it only says page 1 now. Or let's go back to portrait. We can change the scaling down to 90%, and you can see the dotted line is removed, and page 1. So Page Break Preview is a great way to view the changes to your document without having to hit Control P. Now Control P is going to show you a little bit more information depending on what you're displaying, such as here you can see that no grid lines are going to be printed. So sometimes I find it's helpful to use the Print Preview window, but the Page Break View window is also quite helpful. I kind of like using the Print Preview window personally because it's easy to get to. It doesn't change my view in the worksheet. But some people like to use this one, so View tab, Page Break Preview. If you want to get back to the normal view, just click Normal View here. Everything can be found on the Page Layout tab under Page Setup. So we can do the margins to center it, change the orientation, the print area, the breaks, and then we can scale the data over here. And these 5 tips are really going to get you, I would say, 98% of the way to having your data look decent when you print it. Now there are also a few other options you can play around with on this tab, such as showing the grid lines or the headings when you print, or printing the tiles. You can do some stuff with background, although that usually doesn't look very good. There's a lot of things that you could do here, but most of it you're not going to use most of the time. Now I'm going to give you an extra little tip that'll help reduce some annoyance after you've been working with the page layout and print preview for your document. You will oftentimes notice little page break lines. You can see them between columns I and J right here that will appear within the worksheet. So how do you remove them? Super duper easy, but also easy to forget. You want to select the worksheet that has them visible. Go to the File tab, then Options, go to Advanced, scroll down here to where it says Display Options for this worksheet, and uncheck Show Page Breaks. Hit OK, and the annoying dotted line is gone. So that's all for this tutorial, and I hope you found these tips on printing in Excel helpful. I hope you liked the tutorial. If it was helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe and accept notifications so you can see all the new tutorials.